Okay, this time it's recording in the right spot.
You're recording in the right spot. Yeah.
Don't you worry, I fixed it.
I
fixed the entire thing myself, all without you. I don't think God could fix you.
But she's so incredible.
Well, there is no God, but
I know.
We're in your home, we're in your head. Lock the doors and close the blinds. Turn on your TV, turn off your mind.
What is those?
That's my new pop filter piece that literally broke as I was screwing it.
Well, that's annoying.
Yep. Well, so I'm just going to send it to complain, or I'm going to make one that's not made of fucking plastic, I guess.
Rage against the plastic.
The man. The man. Welcome back, everyone. Or I guess welcome for the first time if you're here for the first time.
Yeah, this is a weird place for you to start, but I guess it's as good a place as any.
Honestly, no. I don't think any place with this podcast specifically is weird to start in. Only because, you can start with whatever your fucking favorite shit is.
Yeah.
It's not like we're in chronological order. I would say if you're going to start with any episode, start with fucking Night Trap.
Yeah, that's a good one to start with.
Because we do reference back to Night Trap quite a bit, but that's really the only one we reference a lot to.
Yeah,
and we don't do it every episode, but we do it enough that I would say start with that one.
That should be our sponsor, Night Trap, or whatever that development company was. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, just Night Trap.
Just
they
Night
should
Trap.
change their name to Night Trap. But I'm Scott,
and I'm Steven.
And every week we come at you with the game that we played. Last week's episode was...
That was that Jak and Daxter?
I do know this one. So, yes, Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. We really hope you enjoyed that one. That one was, it was middle of the ground for us mostly. But we did decide that, Jak 2 would be the better game probably. So that'll probably be on our list in the future at some point. And this I'm lost. This week's game is
Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, we're finally doing the sequel to Psychonauts. But before we move forward, though, I do want to let everyone know the website is up. It is done. Woohoo! You can now request games. If you guys are looking for our requested list, it does take a second to load. It comes from a server, and that just takes a second to pull it from that server. So if you guys want to just request games, you can go straight to our website, soulofagamerpodcast.com, and request a game on our game suggestion page.
Yes, and feel free to leave any suggestions on our TikTok page, Soul of a Gamer Podcast, or our Instagram page as well.
Honestly, leave it anywhere.
I am started a post, and you guys will see a post on Instagram. I'm going to do a post every Wednesday and Friday telling you the upcoming episode and then when it drops.
Nice. Yeah, and you can also look at Facebook for all that info. We're on all socials. We're on everything. And then also send us some fucking emails.
Yeah. So then
if you want. You don't have to.
We like to talk to people and get a community going, so let's go.
Yeah, we just want to know how you guys are feeling about the episodes lately.
Yeah.
All right, so that is soulofagamerpodcast@gmail.com if you want to reach out. And let's move on to our first segment.
Are we jamming?
All right, so as you probably have already as you've probably already seen.
We've already told you, but not really.
We talked about it pre-recording. There is no Back of the Box. This was a digital release game only, so we are skipping that section. We're moving straight on to Are We Jamming?
Yep, let me jump in here with the acting and such. The voice actors. Guys, I'm going to let you know right now, I am not going to write down all these voice actors. There are a fucking ton.
There's a ton. I would just do the main ones or the main one.
I wrote down 10. So this is the 10 you're getting. And they're not, I don't even know if they're really main. But you know what? There's really only 2 main characters, I would say, in here. That's Richard Stephen Horvitz as Rasputin Aquato, who is the main character. And where did I put you? There you are. David Kay as Ford Cruller. Those are our 2 main people. And then supporting cast, we have Jack Black, actually, as Helmut Fullbear, which was really cool. Awesome. We got a little song from him, too. Mm-hmm. Nick Jameson as Coach Oleander. Grace Kaufman as Lizzie. Poonan Basu as Gizu. Kimberly Brooks as Hollis. Darren DePaul as Truman Zanato, Nikki Rapp as Lily, Stephanie Komor as Cassiopeia, Alexis Leslin as Mia, and much, much fucking more, guys. There are so many characters in this game.
Whoa, yeah, lots.
And the music in this game is composed by Peter O'Connell.
And I will say, for those of you who like Invader Zim, the voice actor for Invader Zim, is actually Rasputin.
Yeah, which I thought was really cool, too.
Yeah.
He has a huge... Like, all the people on there, by the way, guys, had a giant fucking, like a huge filmography. Like, every single person. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to find the most important one in here. Jack Black clearly is the most famous one.
Obviously.
Yeah. If anyone disagrees, go fuck yourself. He is the most famous one.
By far.
I don't think any of those other people have ever been on stage in front of like 200,000 people before.
They might have been at a Comic-Con or something, maybe.
Yeah. They might have been like a supporting character at a Comic-Con. No one went to their fucking concert, okay?
True. Concerts-wise, yes.
This game does support the thing that I ask for every fucking game.
Do I remember?
2 original songs.
Oh, yes, it does.
There's one song sung by Jack Black, which was fucking phenomenal.
Yes, it was.
And then another song at the end of the game that's really just funny. It's that da 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 da.
Oh, are you talking the Grulovia song?
Yeah, the Grulovia.
Damn, that song.
It's so fucking funny.
It's catchy as fuck, and it gets in your head, but you are so annoyed by it the entire time.
Yeah, because it's sad.
Yes. The other thing I was going to say is, I'm going to say something super controversial right here, but this Jack Black song is so much better than fucking Peaches.
How fucking dare you?
Peaches sucks.
I like Peaches.
It's an okay song, but it is way overhyped.
It is. But Jack Black, it's just his energy he brings to his music is really good, and that's why I like it.
I love him, and I think it's a great song, don't get me wrong, but it is way overhyped, and I do think songs like this, or some of his other Tenacious D filmography or discography, is so much better.
Yeah, you can't compete with Tenacious D. He's allowed to say fucking Tenacious D, that's why.
Yeah. Fuck.
But in general, the music in this background music is just phenomenal. At no point was I like, man, I hate listening to this right now. Oh, man, this sucks. Oh, God. At no point I was turning my brain off from it either. Which normally turning my brain off is a good thing because I'm like, okay, well, it's doing its job. Like, I don't have to notice it and I don't have to, like, miss it.
True.
But this one, I really paid attention to it all the time, and it always sounded good. So we really enjoyed the music, and then voice acting. Holy shit!
Voice acting is incredible, and some amazing dialogue. Incredible. Yeah, I really. There's not a single character that I hated dialogue-wise or voice-wise.
All of them were fun.
All the lines hit. Every time that they tried to be funny, it felt funny. Like it was great all the way through.
Yeah. And this is a game, like in the first game, I would say we had less characters we had to deal with or remember.
Yes, for sure.
Because I think it was just the council students, the camp students.
The camp students and the teachers, yeah.
And then Mia, Oleander, and who's the last guy? I always forget his name. Tasha? Sasha.
Yeah.
I knew it was a girl's name. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a girl's name.
It is.
And that's all you had to really remember were all the campers and then those 3 coaches or 3 teachers. And in this one, there's like all those people, kind of. The campers are mostly gone. Lily's the only one that comes in. Mm-hmm. But then there's plus all the interns, then plus your entire family.
Yeah.
Then plus, like, it just goes on and on. There's so many, plus all the Psychic 6.
Yeah. I will say, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Sasha is a typical male name in more foreign countries, but it's
I think in
feminine name
in
around
Russia.
Here. Yeah.
And over here, you're just a little girl, which apparently is a bad thing.
It's
so
not.
Take that. It is
little
apparently.
Girls are tough, man.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But no.
And big
I don't
want
to know how you know that little girls are tough.
And
you
big
can just
girls
stop
don't
right
cry.
there.
Whoa! What are you implying?
You can stop right there, Steven.
I'm just saying I don't like...
I tried to get one in my van one time, and it didn't work.
No.
She was too tough. I'll go for little boys downstate.
No. Too dark.
Too dark. But yeah, voice acting in this game, like literally no complaints. Every single fucking voice was amazing.
Oh, it's so funny. And especially with dealing with the topics such as mental health, which I'll go into that more later, but they perfectly talk about mental health in some insanely creative and fun ways, and ways that just really brings mental health to your attention without beating it over your head or making you feel bad for it. It's really incredible.
I mean,
honestly.
You still feel bad.
Yeah, you do.
You feel like it's not fixable, but it's manageable, which is great. That's a great way to feel about mental health.
Yeah, well, and it's really interesting because all of the bad guys and a lot of the things you collect are all things dealing with your mental health. It's emotional baggage, it's anxiety, it's like bad thoughts.
All the bad guys are just
sensors,
it's good. It's super good. Trying to think, anything else we want to talk about in acting? Anyone who really like blew you over besides Jack Black?
I really liked the main teacher, the
Hollis?
I can't think of her name. Which one?
Hollis.
Yes. Hollis. She was incredible. I really enjoyed her as a character. I think her character growth, especially with Roz, throughout the entire story, like really developed and bloomed really well. And I loved that they both had the same like failings as students, and she saw that in him and used that as a way to teach him to better himself instead of punishing him for it. Like, it's a really positive, constructive, actual like nurturing relationship, and I'm like, that's really cool to see from like a teacher student kind of reaction in a video game.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think they worked out really well. I think Raz and everyone just really melded okay.
Seriously, Raz just has such good chemistry with everybody.
He really does. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy how good of a voice acting crew they got for this game, for a game that never was supposed to happen to.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting because, we'll talk about it in gameplay, but that's all I got to say about voice acting.
All right. Let's go on to the next one then.
Move on!
How does it play?
Alright, gameplay in this one.
Gameplay, so what's interesting about this game, guys, we already kind of talked about it. Remember the first game we played a while back?
Yep.
And we did really enjoy it.
Yes.
And then they were alluding to a sequel by the end of that game with her dad getting kidnapped, and they did make that sequel. Mm-hmm. They made it for the PSP only.
Oh, interesting. Wasn't there a VR thing too, or something?
I don't know. I didn't look up about a VR, but I remember the PSP one.
Okay.
So there was a sequel, and then Psychonauts 2 came out, which was the official sequel. So that's like the real sequel, because you get literally no answers apparently, and it's a different kind of gameplay than the original Psychonauts and this one was, that weird in between game. I'm not too sure how, but I remember it being described as very different.
Okay.
So, and that was where you went underwater and you had to go rescue Zanato from Dr. Lobato, and that's where you capture him. Yeah. It's a whole thing. So it's just a game. Just note that this game really should have happened earlier, but I'm so happy they waited this long to get it, because I think it worked out better.
I think so too.
I think they would have released this in like 2011 or 2012 and it would have sucked.
Yeah. I think gameplay-wise, I do wish that the one complaint that I will share is that I do think for their powers and stuff, like, it's easy to switch in between, but only having 4 buttons to use your powers instead of using, like, button combinations, like right bumper and B to do a different power and stuff. Like, I wish you could just have access to all 8 of your powers at one time instead of having to switch in between, because they're so useful in different situations that it's really kind of hard to only have 4 active at a time. Yeah.
And then switching between them is hard too. But the main thing that I was going to say, a good fix for that, Fable did it okay, where basically you get 3 or 4 powers to use at a time, but it's really easy to quickly change those. So they have like a dial that basically, when you turn the dial, you get 3 more powers, and you can map those however you want.
Okay.
So it'd be easier to do it that way, like press a button, press another button, and you get to change your 3 powers that you have on right now.
I think the easiest way is just to do it like games like recency bias for me. Lies of P does it extremely well, where they have button combinations that you can press, but then you can press a bumper and that same button again for a different power. Like, it's just
I mean,
like,
I think
we have so many buttons on the controller, and button combinations makes it so much easier. You don't have to have a separate map for it. It could just be all accessed anytime at once. There's never having to change it. I wish that's what I want. I don't want to have to change it.
I mean, I'm okay with changing it. To be honest, it wasn't like a big deal to me to switch it out constantly, because it does like pause you as you're switching.
Yeah, I know, but that kind of takes you out too if you have to do it a lot during a fight. Yeah.
But I never felt that way. I was like, okay, because this is like an RPG-esque game.
Yeah.
In RPGs, that's basically the whole surrounding thing of that game. It's like, okay, I'm in a fight. Some restrict me from changing armor, but almost none restrict me from changing weapons. Let's change to this weapon. Let's do this. Let's do that. And that's like half the fun of an RPG is melding yourself to the right situation.
Yeah, which, I mean, I do get that, and there is aspects of it that I do enjoy with it. But there is just certain times, because most of the time I just had my 4 favorite abilities and I just used those 4. But there was times in battles when they introduced a huge variety of enemies and huge clusters of enemies that I wish I had access to more powers at that time.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I felt a little opposite. I thought it was an okay thing on there, but everyone's going to look at that a little differently. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on your kind of gameplay you like to go for. If you're okay with like pausing quickly and then changing your powers up, then you're probably fine with it. I thought the buttons for what they chose were not great. I didn't like the button choices.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might have just been me, but I really kind of wish they would have changed what buttons did what. Because I didn't like... I don't know. I don't like jump and then B being one and then Y being one, but then... right bumper being one, but then right button being one. I'm like, okay, this is not a great format. I would have changed that a little bit at least. Maybe only have 2 powers and have it be the bumper and the button.
I don't know. I think besides like some button mapping and just like being able to use more powers or something, and there's literally nothing else that I have complaints about control wise.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into what the controls are. Standard movement. Everything's standard, pretty much with movement. You jump, double jump, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You have a weight. No double jump. Just regular.
There's just double jump. Yeah, there's double jump.
And then there's you can jump higher by writing one of your powers and stuff like that. Yeah. But mostly movement is okay. Different powers are, the original powers were clairvoyance, levitation, mental connection,
mind
psi blast. Yep. There was the fire one, which the fire one was always weird to me. Yeah, that one was always the weirdest one. There's one more, I believe. I can't ever remember what it is.
Did you say that one already?
Oh, telekinesis, yes.
And mind connection was only in the second one, not the first one, I believe.
No, mind connection was in the first one, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so, because there was only 5 in the first one. They added 3 more for this one.
I thought it was because he didn't get a new badge for it, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Or was that when they were making fun of? Is that when they were making fun of him for just standing on the pedestal?
That was the students were making fun of him. Yeah.
Okay, so the mental connection was only in the second one, and then they added a couple new ones. They're weird ones. One of them's like slows down time.
Yeah, it was the time bubble. I think that's just
the time bubble, and then one of them, which I thought was funny because fucking. High on Life had that same power, which was really interesting. And then the other one was it's like you send out a little version of yourself,
astral projection.
A paper version. Yeah, but it's weird. It's astral like projection, but it's made of paper.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's really strange. I didn't love that it was paper, but
I thought that was hilarious dialogue-wise, though. The little guy that really you made is so great.
Yeah. He gets his own little set of dialogue, and it's basically always positive.
Oh, okay. So I just have to do all the work then?
Yeah. What's cool about this game, too, is you don't get to... This is the same as the first one. You don't get to 100% this game before you beat it.
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
Yeah.
So basically, there's a point in this game where you go forward and you can't go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Midway through the game, so you get that power astral projection last, and you need that to collect certain items in the first part of the game, but you can't go back after you get that power.
Yeah. Well, I think
I thought that
once
was
you
really
beat
cool.
the game, you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you you have to beat the game, though. And
Yeah.
the reason they did that is because you have those psi levels, just like in the first game, you have psi levels, and those unlock new powers and new abilities, and one of the abilities that you get is unlimited psi blasts.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's at like level... In the first game, it wasn't level 100, but in this one, I think it is.
Oh, okay. I didn't
So I
get
didn't
that
end up 100%ing thing. Yeah, I mean, I ended up 100%ing this game, so... the first time I played it. The second time I played through, I didn't quite do it this time because I already did it once.
Yeah.
But the psi levels are cool for that. What other aspects of the game? There's boss fights in this game, but a lot of them are really simple and easy. Like, it's actually kind of fun to do the boss fights.
Yeah, the boss fights were fun. I do think that they overstayed their welcome sometimes. A lot of things had 4 phases and not just 3. So I felt like sometimes it felt a little long.
Yeah. Again, that's going to be per person. I felt
Yeah.
like it worked out perfectly. I didn't feel like it was too long at all. But again, it just depends on your perspective for playing games. If you're playing games that you're used to the boss fight only having like you beat it and then it's done, and then, or if you're used to playing like Dark Souls where you beat phase 1 and then phase 2 comes out. Like,
I guess for me the problem is like you would go to do a mission and that mission would break off into 3 missions before you complete the actual mission, and then you do a boss fight that would have 3 stages and then an actual final stage of the boss fight. So sometimes it would break and then break and then break and then break and then break, and that just made everything feel long and made the pacing feel off sometimes.
yeah, again, that per person. But
Yeah.
for me, felt okay. I didn't even notice that until you mentioned it. But I thought the boss fights were really good.
Oh,
they were fun.
especially cinematically. Some of them were phenomenal. They were gorgeous.
The way this game portrays itself is beautiful. The levels are fucking
so
constructed so well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the levels more in story, but just know that they are just gorgeous nonstop.
Yeah, and super inventive. Like, you've never seen some levels like some of these before, especially in 3D platformers. Like, there's not a lot that you can do for, like, inventing the wheel with that. A lot of 3D platformers are all similar in a lot of aspects, but this one's very unique with its level design.
This is another game that's like Spyro and Jak and Daxter and stuff, too.
Yeah.
But the big difference is you get a little bit of an RPG element, which I think sells it better.
Yes, I agree.
I think that's what the main difference is, because I was complaining last time, like, hey, Jak and Daxter sucks because it's like Spyro, but it doesn't mean those games are bad. It just means they're not giving me enough to keep me interested.
Well, and we talk about how Raz's dialogue is the best in the game and how he has such great chemistry with every character. Like, that's another thing you complain about with Jak and Daxter that this game has.
Main character doesn't fucking talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silly.
Yeah.
But honestly, the gameplay is so much better than Jak and Daxter. It's not even funny. It's like not even a comparison.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job on that. Trying to remember anything else. Let me look at some of the powers are really cool. I really like. They did some like subtle changes to the powers.
Yeah.
For some of the original powers, clairvoyance worked a little bit differently than it used to work.
Yeah, because didn't you control the character when you like entered
No,
their
you
mind?
always viewed out, but I love
Okay.
the way that I think they changed. I think every character did view you differently, but they didn't have as much of a variety as they did this time. This one guy was hungry for bacon, so you go into his head and he's like, you're literally a piece of bacon to him, and I'm just like, oh my god, are you kidding me right now? And then another person sees me as a camper, and another person sees me like in a trench coat as a like top spy. I thought it was cool.
I love like really the tiny mice. He was like a monster. Like
yeah. They did bring back some cool things from the original game. He only finds one brain in this one, and in the original one, you did have to hunt for several of the campers' brains.
Yeah.
But whenever he found a brain in the original one, he kissed it. And this one, with the one he found, he ends up kissing it. I'm like, that's good. That's a good throwback.
They did have something weird with the brain, though, having that brain split in half on the levels and then having to find both halves. That animation where the two sides of the brain smushed together was weird as shit.
But I loved it because with that, when you do that, you get an extra health bar, basically.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's such a weird... I was not
but
expecting
it makes you, like... that's one thing that I like when they do in these games. It makes you want to search more. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you find both pieces of the brain, you get more health. If you get more health, the game becomes easier for you.
True.
Like, I do like that aspect. And then the level system, of course, helped a little bit, too, with them increasing, like, certain... I think you get, like, Psy Blast boost and power and stuff like that, too, as you level up, depending on what level you are.
And you can make your Psy Blast, like, ricochet and do all these cool things,
Yeah, they introduced badges. I don't remember if badges were in the first one, although I don't think they were.
You mean the pins?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they were, or at least not as prominent. Like, this one, it's a very extensive thing.
Yeah.
And each one can change your abilities and your colors of your abilities. They can be totally aesthetic, or they can be actual extra things for and extra powers and abilities. So it's a lot of, like, unique variability, and it's really cool.
Yeah, they made collecting money a little bit more useful, and they made the Psy levels useful in that regard too, because in order to use certain badges, you have to be a certain level.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I did like the gameplay of this game is near perfect. I don't have any complaints about it really. Honestly, this game was like
so
almost fucking perfect.
It's so good.
So yeah. All right. Well, let's just move on.
It's time for reviews.
All right, so
reviews.
Yes, as last time, in
Yeah.
honors of the great nickname my amazing co-host has given me every time I was scared to death in a game, Little Bitch Boy, I present you with negative reviews where we will decide if your complaints are valid or if you are also a little bitch boy.
Yeah, little bitch boy.
I did get a couple of good reviews as well, but mainly negative ones because they're just
Yeah,
fun
those
to
are
read.
the best ones.
Yeah. All right. So, this person, great graphics. Art is amazing and stays true to the original. Runs well and feels polished. Unfortunately, has a really lackluster and predictable storyline with a lot of repetitive level design. Mostly, go get the special item at the end of this jumping puzzle, i.e. books, seeds, broken glasses, instruments, and come nowhere close to the level of uniqueness that each mine gave in the first game. Compared to Boyd's, Edgar's, Napoleon's, Mila's, and Linda's mines, to name a few. All completely different in structure, pace, objectives, and enemies and NPCs. Some might find this game great, but for me, it came nowhere close to the sense of engagement, eeriness, and mystery that the original offered. Pretty disappointed overall. Definitely not worth the hefty price at sale.
Hefty price. Games have remained the same fucking price for like 20 years. Shut the fuck up with hefty
I am
prices.
getting so tired of hearing the price debate with people, honestly.
Oh my god.
Like,
the price is $60. That's
like,
the price of like a good hooker.
I don't know if you saw the GTA 6 trailer and how amazing that looks and all the things they're promising for that game, but they're talking about possibly raising the price, and some people are saying that leaked prices are somewhere in between $100 and $150 for the game, and I'm like, for GTA 6, I would gladly pay that. Are you kidding me? It was as good as GTA 5 was. It's the highest selling media of all time.
Yeah, but the problem is that it's becoming the same price as an old console, and I think that's where people are getting like a little hung up on it. I get their reasoning. It's getting expensive, and it's not fair because our pay isn't going up that much.
Okay, but it's also like...
But that's a problem with your local fucking government. Fix it there.
But some people also complain about like the price point per like how much hours you get involved with it. In a game like GTA 6 that is going to have the online components and stuff as well as the story mode, it's going to be something you're going to devote a lot of time for. And if you devoted, say, 100 or 200 hours in GTA 5, and you pay $100 for that, that's still per hour such a low cost.
It is. I mean, I'm not in a disagreement with you. I think the price is honestly fine. Like I said, if people have a big problem with it, they need to go to their local government and fucking deal with it there, because it's not... The price of things will always go up. What's not going up is the price we make.
Yeah.
In our pay.
Yeah.
Or the amount we make in our pay.
Yeah.
So if you have a problem with the price, that means you're not making enough money. That means you need to complain to your fucking government.
Yeah. Fair.
Well, they're the ones who control shit. Don't complain to the federal, though, because they suck.
Seriously.
Local's better.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean... I actually don't mind that review.
I don't either.
Get what he's saying.
Like, there is some good points.
Reasoning. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did really like the Napoleon level in the first game.
Seriously. That board game level? Oh, God.
Yeah. And I will say the levels in the first game were a little bit more unique with their layout. Whereas this one, you did feel like it was very symmetrical. Every single level was very symmetrical.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just disguised that better in the first one or if they literally didn't give a shit. Because, remember Sasha's mind was just a fucking cube.
Yeah.
And each part of the cube was a different part of his mind, which I thought was interesting. Like, it is interesting. In the end, the levels they made in the first one are super good and interesting and a little bit more risque.
Yeah.
But the levels in this one are much more pretty.
So I think that the level design and how things were in the second one and the one we were playing, I think the biggest thing was they tried to travel so much throughout the levels and travel to so many different places in each level, whereas in the first one you basically stayed in one place for that level.
Yeah, there's a lot. This game is way bigger than the fucking campground you had to
100%
restrict yourself to in the first one.
Yeah.
So
yes, next one. Wow, initial feelings were amazing. This design was lush, some funny gags here and there, and punishment for being useless at platformers was lenient. But in the end, it turned out to just be another platformer. Sadly, and I hate platformers. Otherwise, I would recommend.
bitch boy, 100%
Bitch boy.
What the fuck kind
I
of
suck at
review is that?
platformers, and I don't think this game sucks.
Well,
at
no,
anything.
here's my problem with that. If you don't want to play platformers,
Don't
then
buy
don't
one.
play platformers. Yeah. You cannot give a game a 1-star review just because it's your least favorite games type. Like, that's like giving, I don't like sandwiches and I went to Subway. 1
Yeah.
star. Like, what? Fuck you.
I will say,
play other games.
at the very least, he did put 18 and a half hours into it before he gave up on it. So
No.
he gave it a shot, but he's
He
still a
put
little bitch
18
boy.
and a half hours into a game that took me like 18 hours to 100%.
And you give it a 1-star review for playing it that long.
Yeah, that's weird. I think this guy is just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
A bitch boy.
Bitch boy. After playing both Ori games, Super Mario, and others, this is just terrible. Graphics are average, storyline is ridiculous, and all of its completionist collecting is tedious. Waste of time, and I wish I could get my money back.
Well, here, I'm going to stop him there with tedious. Every fucking game's 100%ing to me is
It's tedious.
That's the point of it.
Yeah.
It's just fucking like going back. Like, has he played Prototype? Has he tried to fucking 100% that? Because that's way fucking harder.
Any of the Assassin's Creeds?
Yeah, like, it's just they take longer because there's more shit to do. That's
Yeah.
their point. The longer they keep you on the game, the more worth it looks like, because that's free advertising for all these games now because we all play online.
Yep.
So someone will see you playing that and say, "Oh, I wonder what game that." Well, they've been playing that game for 16 hours straight.
Right?
What that game is. Like,
Seriously.
this guy's an idiot. He's a fucking little bitch boy.
And then this one I'm bringing up just so we can dog on this person, because fuck this person. Ruined by identity politics like everything else. Be a platform game, not a platform to spout your leftist agenda. And he said that because of the gay romance in the game.
Yeah,
So,
there's one gay romance in the entire game.
fuck you, because that gay romance is beautiful. And
It is actually really
that
good.
wedding
They really
ceremony
fleshed that out
was
so good.
gorgeous and
Yeah.
so sweet. So whoever wrote this, because I don't even see a name on this one, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. What is stupid? That sounds like a bot. That might not be a real. That's a bitch boy, but it might be a bot.
Little bitch bot, whatever. I don't
Yeah,
care.
it's like
but-
people buy these bots to 1-star things so they can get like notoriety, or if they,
Yeah.
like on Facebook you do that so you fight someone on a post so your post gets more engagement.
Overpriced, too short. The psychic powers are never used creatively, and when you try to, they just won't work. Lackluster platform with zero creativity. All obstacles are simply a hazard moving in your way, forcing you to stand still and wait several seconds for it to move out of the way, rinse and repeat.
Wait, when does that happens a couple times, I guess, but I thought the powers were useful.
This game
I
is
guess, I don't
more
know.
creative than almost any other game out there.
I think it's funny because all these people react after like losing. Like, it's like how I do. It's I throw my controller against the wall if I do something stupid in a game.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, they're like, I can't afford a new controller like Scott can, so I better go on and write a really mean review.
So this is a review that had 1,400 people said this review was very helpful.
Okay. Is it 5-star or 1-star?
It is a 5-star.
Okay.
This game is like Psychonauts, but if they had a sequel.
That's good. I like that. The last one was a little bitch boy, by the way, guys. I didn't see that, but I think it was heavily implied.
Yes, it was.
This one, perfect.
Valid.
That was perfect.
Valid. Super valid.
This game is just like one of my favorite games, but it's sequel.
This one had 91 people found this review helpful. Wacky and funny, like my third wife. God, I miss her. Karen, if you've ever read this, please let me see the kids this Christmas. The judge said it was my turn this year.
That's good. That's really good. I like that guy's funny.
Now I can't get the Grulovia song out of my head.
It's so true. It's so fucking true.
Yeah.
If you guys ever get a chance and you don't want to play the game, go look at the soundtrack because it's really fun.
It is really fun. And then I got one good 5-star review. I really enjoyed this review. So, top-notch world building, storytelling, and level design. Incredible skill to translate the mental health theme into a vibrant world and fun gameplay. A bit clunky graphics, but the game is too amazing to get stuck in such minor details. I particularly dislike platforming games, but still give it a 5-star. It spent over 30 hours falling from platforms and ledges to get every single collectible and savor this game's world. This is how good this game is.
Why do people take so long to get all the collectibles? They're not really that hard to get.
Some people struggle with games more than you do.
Most of the aspects for this is not platform. It's just under
there is a good amount of platforming in this.
There is, but it's still, I think,
as someone who typically hates platformers and sucks at platformers, I will say I didn't struggle with it too much, but there was times where I'm like, fuck. Like, especially like the mailroom level, that one was a little annoying, especially trying to figure out, like, if you didn't see, like, one of the levers to switch the mail going somewhere. Like, I fell off that level so many times, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, and you're better at platformers than I am.
I did like the mailroom level, but we'll talk about that in story.
Well, I'm good to go if you are.
Let's move on.
It's story time. Let's get started.
Let's get started. Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Your head looks natural like that.
Totally.
It's like that motion. That motion is done a lot by you.
Yeah, I suck a lot. I lick a lot of clit and suck a lot of dick.
So yeah, let's jump right into story. I've got a little synopsis actually prepared this time.
All right. Good job doing your job.
Well, good job doing your job.
You have one job!
2. The game starts out after Raz and friends rescue Truman, the leader of the Psychonauts, from Dr. Lobato. They then attempt to learn who hired Dr. Lobato by making him think he won a vacation trip at a job that they created in his head. This does not work, so the team is forced to further experiment on him. The team also thinks there might be a mole inside the Psychonauts and attempt to find out who it is. Raz does figure out, while in Lobato's mind, that he might have been hired by people trying to resurrect Maligula, a psychic who used her powers over water to drown many protesters in Raz's home country of Grulovia. No. Maligula was said to be killed by the Psychic Six, the original founding members of the Psychonauts. Yeah. Raz is then allowed to become an intern at the Psychonauts and attend the intern classes. At the classes, he learns new ways to use his powers and is assigned the apprentice of the mailroom supervisor, Nick. He finds Nick brainless, and upon searching him for clues, finds him with a key to the Lady Luctopus Casino. A mission is made to go to the casino, but he and the rest of the interns are not permitted to go. He then releases the co-head of the Psychonauts, Hollis, latent gambling addiction in order for him and the other interns to be able to go on the mission to find out who took Nick's brain. They go to the casino, and he has to fix Hollis so she doesn't gamble all of the Psychonauts' money. He does this and then finds the room the key goes to and discovers it belongs to the Delusionists. The thing inside Grulovia was called the Deluge.
Yes.
So the people are called Delusionists. It's really hard to say because you want to say like delusion.
Yeah.
It's Delusionists.
Because they're
or
delusional.
people trying to bring Maligula back to life. He also finds a note that shows the Delusionists might have turned Lily, a character from the first game and the daughter of Truman, to be a mole. Raz confronts Lily and she assures him she is not the mole. Raz then talks to Truman, who at this point everyone believed to be in a psycho-induced coma. It turned out that Truman was faking it in order to find the mole. Truman asked Raz to help him by bringing Ford Cruller, one of the Psychic Six, out of retirement. Ford's mind is shattered, so Raz has to put the pieces together. The only way to gain access to Ford's multiple personalities is by helping other members of the Psychic Six fix their problems. He does this, and Ford tells him he shattered his memory on purpose. It turns out that Maligula was a member of the Psychic Seven, but became evil when she was forced to do something terrible by the Tsar of Grulovia. It is then revealed that Maligula was not dead, and that she was actually Raz's great aunt. However, Maligula killed her sister, Raz's grandma, so Ford made Maligula forget everything and made her Raz's father believe that she was Raz's grandma. This is a very confusing story.
Yes.
But bear with me. We're almost through it. This is because Ford loved Maligula and didn't want her to get hurt for what she did. Ford tells Raz that they need to seal Maligula away once and for all by using a machine another member of the Psychic Six created, Otto. They get to the machine and cure the rest of the Psychic Six issues and begin work on Maligula. Truman intervenes, and so does Lily. They learn that Truman's body is actually being controlled by the brain of Nick. Nick is actually the heir to Grulovia, the Grulovia throne, and seeks to return from his exile and take his rightful mantle. He needs Maligula back in order to do it. He helps bring her back, and Raz and friends defeat her and restore Nona, who is Raz's grandma, Raz's aunt, or kind of grandma, back to her original form. The game ends with the interns all becoming junior Psychonauts.
Yes.
There's a lot of levels in between we're going to talk about, guys, but that's just the basis of the story is that.
So many, and there's so many twists at the end. You're like, what? Oh my god, what?
Yeah, when I first played this game, I'm like, Steven, I'm going to be so excited when Steven plays his fucking part in Nick's brain, because it is the best part of the game.
Oh, God. I'm trying to...
It's the part in Nick's brain. It's the Grulovia. That's where that song comes in. That's when you're on the boat ride. You're on like a swan ride, guys. It's through the memories of Nick and how much tortured he is. And it's so funny because it's like perception is such a crazy thing.
It really is.
And this is what they were trying to get across in his head is like he's still living a lap of luxury. He literally lives in a penthouse. He's eating nothing but caviar all the time. Mm-hmm. He's not doing anything hard. But in his mind, he's like life is terrible because he's not the current king of Grulovia.
Yeah.
Like it's just really interesting how they play that role of perception is all in the beholder, because literally on the outside his life looks great.
That, and I loved that because Raz got this information from Cruller first, who has been mentally broken for years, and then he started inside of Nick's mind. He's in his mind, he's actually saying throughout the entire time, like, I don't even know what to believe anymore. Like, who should I believe? Is this real? Or is what Ford told me real? Or is it a mix of somewhere in the middle? Like, he even says things to that effect. And it's like, it's really crazy how well they mess with everyone's different perceptions of what's going on in each different scenario.
Yeah. So in the original game, you do hear about the Psychic Six, but it's just the six. It turns out there were 7 of them, which I thought was really cool.
That is cool.
Maligula was, what was her real name?
Lucinda or
Lucy.
It's Lucy. But
they called her Lucy, but she goes by Maligula when she goes back to Grulovia because her inner darkness that everyone else like stows away comes out because she was psychically open. Yeah. So when the Tsar gets his hands on her and convinces her that the protesters are evil and trying to ruin Grulovia, she drowns them, and it turns out she drowns her sister and her brother-in-law.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking crazy dark story. You don't expect this dark story from this game.
Oh, seriously.
But it's amazing. It's fucking phenomenal that they go into that kind of depth. And I mean, we'll talk about the effects on the other Psychic Six, but man, that base alone is fucking crazy.
I mean, even just with some of the simple minor characters and stuff, sometimes they talk about like big subjects. Like in the Luctopus Casino, when you're inside Hollis's brain, when you're doing the spinning the wheel to hopefully land on getting a baby. And like two rich people are trying to have a baby, and they think it's going to fulfill all of their duties and like give them fulfillment because money has never been able to give them fulfillment in their life. And when they finally get the baby in their hands, they're like, when is this supposed to make me happy? Like it gets dark with that, but it's really cool and it's really interesting, and it's like there's other people like, oh no, I would never want to have kids. That's like way too much responsibility. But you see like different perspectives even in that area, and it's really interesting.
Yeah. They do throw back some of the story stuff from the first game. Ford Cruller's still obsessed with bacon, but they don't do it as like in your face. You don't have a piece of bacon you just carry around with you.
The one time they did it,
Yeah, I thought that was really good. They did a really cool thing in here where they separated Ford Cruller's mind into 3 separate parts.
Yeah.
He has a bowling part, a male part, and a haircutting part. And they're all different places where he felt like he was in love with Lucy. Mm-hmm. Which was really a cool thing. Like, and each level is like probably the most intense and shitty level in the game.
Yeah.
The only level that beats that, I've heard, because I looked at this list of the worst levels, and someone said that Bob's level was really bad. And I actually really enjoyed Bob's level. Like, that's probably one of my favorites, but I understand where they're coming from just because it's a lot of water and your character does have a fear of water.
Yeah.
If you remember from the first game, guys, your character fears water
because his family things are cursed.
Yeah, they were cursed by gypsies who were psychics, and that's why his family hates psychics too.
Yeah.
You do get introduced to his entire family in this game,
which was very interesting. I was not expecting it.
Yeah,
because you only got to meet his dad in the first one.
Yeah, so you get to meet his dad, his little 2 sisters. He's got a little sister and an older sister,
and then 2 little brothers.
1 little brother and 1 older brother.
Sorry.
And then I think that's it.
And then his mom, and then his
mom and grandma, aunt, person.
Yeah.
Here's where I get confused, and Steven, you're not going to like it, but it's another timing issue.
Okay.
So it's said that the events of the Psychic 6 fighting Malicula took place 20 years prior.
Okay.
And that at that time, Raz's dad is in an orphanage. Okay? Do you know how old Raz is?
10 or 11.
He's 10.
Yeah.
He's 10.
Yeah.
So he's 10. This is like the timeline for this, guys, by the way, is like 6 days after the first game took place.
Yeah.
So it's really not that long. Yeah. Like the 2 days in between the first and the in-between game, and 3 days in between that, or 4 days in between that. So 20 years. So we take 10 of that off, and we say, okay, well, that's when he had a child. That works. But wait. He's got an older brother and sister. The older brother looks like the oldest, so I assume he's between 15 and 18 years old.
I don't think he's that old. I definitely think he was only like a couple years older.
No, 15 to 18. Guarantee it, only because of how tall he was. He's almost the same height as the dad. And they really did play him up to be that old.
I don't know.
So he could be 12. He as young as 12, and they just made him look super old for some reason. But my best guess is between 15 and 18. 15 being the low ball for me. So that means...
I mean, they had weird characters with all different shapes, sizes, and heights.
I know.
Like,
so
I don't...
Age could mean nothing to them. But it doesn't. It does mean something, because they already said Raz is 10 years old and he looks like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So they've already established that age means something to them.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying,
so the problem with these
height
years
does not
is
mean
that
age in their world.
I know, but it could. It could, and it has with Raz and the other 10-year-olds.
Sure.
Yeah, right? The adults all, like Sasha and Mia, are really tall, but Oleander's kind of short. But that's kind of normal for adults, where you get some that are tall, some that are short.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the shape of like the bee lady and the her boyfriend or whatever, you get
some that are tall and some that are short.
She's
right.
super tall, lanky, thin, giant, long face. Like, yeah,
you're right. But so we have 20 years, right? So if he was 13 when he was in the orphanage, because that would make the most sense. And we can assume that his older brother, Raz's older brother, is 15. That means he had his kid at 18.
Okay.
Because that's 5 years later. So that's the 20 years. The only problem I have with this is also Nona looks like she's like 80 years old.
I mean...
So if she's the older sister and he was only 13... And we're assuming, again, she's the older sister. They just said sister, and they almost look like twins. So...
Yeah, well, I mean...
So that was my only problem.
Made her
they
look like
30.
They made her look like the grandma though. Like they changed.
They made her look like she
appearance.
was 80, and
Yeah.
then they made the kids look like they were appropriate ages, but they didn't give us enough time for all of that to happen. I think they should have extended that. This is my only problem with the story. Extended 10 years. Make it 30 years ago, because then everyone's ages makes perfect sense at 10 extra years.
I don't know. I'd have to, like I said, with all these things, I have to see a timeline.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the timeline's there. They already have the timeline. It's the 6 days after the first game, and 10 years after the Raz being born, and 20 years after Reloaded.
I know, but I mean, like, with not assuming ages and stuff.
Well,
like,
and you have to assume because they're never going to release
I know,
that. But
that's true.
if they said 30 years, I wouldn't even question it because I'm like, okay, yeah, a lot can happen in 30 years.
I think
you
you
could
would
look like
still
shit after
question.
30 years. No, 30 years would have been perfect.
fine.
That's the perfect amount of time because then he's in the orphanage he could have been in the orphanage at 7 and that would have made more sense.
True.
Of course, they're in Grulovia, which seems like a third world country, so people probably have kids really young, so they could have had kids at 16 for all I know.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting that they chose 20 years and then made the characters look really old. But then not everyone in the psychic sect looked really old.
Yeah.
So it's like really hard to gauge their ages.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, every character's design is so different and unique that it's hard to tell any ages or
Nona's made
anything.
no fucking sense at all. Crullers and Nona's were just way too old, I think, maybe.
Well,
maybe they didn't... And they could be older than everyone else,
Yeah.
sure, but that much older? It's like 20 years older.
I mean, it could be, though. Like,
He
they're
found
just
a bunch
old
of
people.
kids.
Yeah.
But then they don't look like they're in their 40s. They all look like they're in their 50s or 60s, everyone else.
Yeah.
And remember, we already know that in actuality, what's his name? Bob Zanotto and Helmut Fullbear are the same age
Yeah.
as Ford Cruller and Maligula. We only know that because Bob Zanotto has nieces and nephews that are appropriate ages with Raz's parents, and then their kids are appropriate ages with Raz.
But, I mean, I don't even remember a time that said they were all the same age.
Yeah, no, all of the people at Camp Pretend.
Well,
So we already have that established. We have appropriate ages. Within 5 years is an appropriate age. So yeah, the timeline for this game, you add 10 years. You add 10 years, Steven, and it's perfect.
okay.
I think you don't focus as deeply on the small details like that, but that does build. Like,
I do
it
not
takes me out of the game.
I focus
when
on
I'm
that
like,
shit
why
on
the fuck
movies all the
does-
time, but with video games...
It's silly to focus in movies and not video games, Steven. It's all story building. It's all story.
I know it's all story building, but at the same time, I don't think if someone's age is 5 years off, especially when they don't even tell you the age of most characters, that I care or pay attention to.
Well, it's not that they told you the age. They give you a timeline. This is the problem I had with Halo ODST, too. They give you a timeline. Just say it happened in the fucking past, then. Just don't say a time. Don't give 20 years. Just don't say anything. Just say it happened many years ago, and no one will question it. When you give a time and it's not accurate, it really does take you out because you're like, how the fuck does that work with 20 years and this character looks like this and this character's like that and that character's like that? It might not mean a lot to you, but it does mean a lot to a lot of people.
I'm not...
So,
well, I mean, sure.
Like, to me, this is a big deal because I'm like, okay, well, then it takes me out. Like, I have no idea when things are supposed to be happening or how your characters age.
I guess for me, it's if I don't notice it in the game, then I don't see it as a problem. But if there are times I have noticed time dilation problem or time placement or timeline problems, and it is off-putting. But if I don't notice it throughout the game, or I'm like confused when you're mentioning it, like I don't remember them saying that. Like it's hard for me to be like, yeah, I totally, I feel everything you're saying.
Well, that's not the problem. Again, is that I think it just either add 10 years or take away time altogether. Again, this is the same thing I said about Halo ODST. Is I don't want them to say 1 month later because you're like, where the fuck did that month go? Like, what happened? Like, how did that? This is in between this and that. Like, when you give a timeline, it's really hard to give times in between, and I don't think you should do that. Just say sometime later, sometime in the past, years ago. Like, that would be better to me. 20 years is just not long enough. I just felt like that was a really weird number for them to come to. I don't know if they just decided that last second or not, but
again,
really interesting.
there's so much details you don't know, which is why I think this time thing is a weird problem, because you don't know the age that Raz's dad had Raz or his older brother. You don't know the age of his older brother.
You already have an assumption.
You have
he
assumptions.
Didn't have him at 11.
But what does assumptions
you know
do?
You didn't
they
have
make
him at
an
11.
ass out of you and me.
Well, you already know. He he has to have 10 years prior.
There's no ages ever given to any of the teachers.
Yes, there is with Raz. Raz is the problem. They gave Raz's age, which already makes it hard for the 20 years.
But if you have the age of just one character, that doesn't give you the age of every character.
Everything else.
You can't tell me an age. I can't even tell you an age gap for Crawler.
I know. It's because you don't pay attention as much as I do in the stories.
There's
of these
nothing
games,
to pay attention to with it.
And with the ages there is. Remember, it's plus or minus 10 years. Everything is plus or minus 10 years now with Raz.
What are you talking about?
So, like, the max amount of time was 20 years that they gave us. So Raz is born in between that 20 years at 10.
Yes.
So all we have to work with is plus 10 years or minus 10 years.
What are you saying?
You know that the people in Raz's family, all of them older than him, have to be older plus or minus 10 years.
Okay.
All of his brothers and sisters. Or plus or minus 10 years younger.
Okay.
Okay. So if we put that in perspective, let's say, again, Dad was in an orphanage, which they did say.
Yeah.
That makes him under 18. They're following normal age rules there.
Okay.
Right? Under 18.
Well, I mean, it's in a foreign country that we don't know.
Yeah,
that's
so
possibly third world.
We know that
so
he had to have Raz 10 years after he's out of the orphanage.
Okay.
So he can't be less than 8 unless in that country they have him at younger ages. But then that would make him 5 years, 5 to, well, you said 2 to 8 years later or earlier, his brother's born. Because his brother is the oldest. That's established in the story. So again, like, the timeline would make sense. 20 years is not a long time based on all the characters they gave. 30 years is. That's all I asked for them is like
40 years is also a long time. Like, I'm just saying, you're saying arbitrary numbers to me, it sounds like.
Well,
like
30 years would be a good amount of time for it to explain everything happening, including the ages that are presented to us. But I don't think 20 years does. And that was my big problem with this game. Is like the year that they gave us is just too soon for everything that's happening and the ages of the characters.
But the way you're describing makes it sound like it is possible to still be 20 years, which
it is, but it's super weird at 20 years. Like, that's what takes it out for me.
This game is all weird. It's all about weirdness. It's all about the differences. It's all about trauma and emotional damage.
It's not about weird stuff with years. And you could be right. They could be saying, like, well, maybe Nona looks like shit because her emotional damage is so high.
Yeah.
But everyone's emotional damage at that point was high, so why doesn't everyone look like Nona?
Well, they've also...
Bob especially. Bob was a full-on alcoholic throughout that entire story.
Yes, but there's alcoholics that today live to be 100 years old in our times.
Sure,
like,
but
that
they don't look
possible. Good. I mean, true, but to the same extent, too. Like, if it is a thing about usage of power, especially past certain points of power, and they do talk about that taking a big toll on your body, then Maligula, with her giant wave ocean powers that she's using a ton of psychic energy, could have drained so much of her life force to use it.
Maybe. I don't know, because remember when she comes back, too, she actually looks exactly the same.
But also, like I said, they literally changed the way she looked physically in the real world and mentally to her family so that they don't see her the way that she actually is.
That's true. She could be completely different,
yes.
But I don't think they didn't change the way she looked, remember? They just changed the memories of her, and they wouldn't have changed it for Raz.
I think they did say they changed her physical look, though,
as
well.
Ford Cruller specifically said the only one I changed was your dad.
Mental image-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so they would see her for what she really is, which is what she really looks like to them, which is Nona.
All right, I'll find that later. I'll look at it.
All right. But just saying, like, it seems like maybe they should have given it 10 years.
But
I'm
saying if it's still something you're saying is a possibility, I think it's a little bit of a nitpick to say, I need 10 more years.
Yes. Well, it's a possibility, but it's like making some rash assumptions on a lot of their stuff that they're doing. And again, it's just, they didn't match that with all the other characters and stuff. That was my big problem with it. It doesn't seem to match with everyone. So what was 20 years for one doesn't seem like 20 years for another. And that's where I start saying, okay, this is weird. Bob's story makes sense, but he's also a 20-year alcoholic, so he should look a lot worse than he does, but he doesn't look that bad. He looks almost the same as his bust that he had. Helmet should look almost exactly the same because he's just a mental image. He's not. He's just a brain. Oh, But everyone else, like Cassiopeia, she looks old. Like, she really does. Like, if you look at her older other ones, they look like they're in their 20s. But then she looks like she's in her 60s. So it could be the mental thing. It couldn't. I think 30 years would have helped a lot. But
I don't know.
Some of the cooler things in this game, too, some of the cooler levels, Helmut Fullbear's fucking level, amazing.
Yeah, I did
Fucking
like that
amazing.
one. Yeah.
Hippy dippy. Super like,
psychedelic. 100%.
Yeah, a lot of psychedelic shit going on all over the place.
Do not do drugs and play that level. Or do, and
it'll scare you. But it's funny how many times they allude to drugs in that level.
Yes, they really do.
Literally all the fucking time. They allude to drugs, everything. And Raz is always like, what? Getting high? What? Yeah, I can jump up there.
I loved that. That's not what they meant by getting high.
No, they did not. It's pretty funny. The Bob Zanotto level, that was actually one of my favorites. And this is the weird part. Everyone seemed to hate that level. And I just think finding shit in this is hard. But, like, the beauty of that level is amazing.
You're talking about that level where you go through on the coaster or whatever again?
Yeah. You go on the door.
It's so long, and it is boring to go through the level.
Oh.
And then
I
get to a door.
In like 20 minutes.
No,
but.
Okay. So the thing that I hated with this level, pacing wise, is you go through a section of the level or through a section of the ride, then you stop. You have to go back through all of the things that you just went through, collect everything in that area, and then do something to flip a lever or do whatever to open the door, and then move to the next area, and then just rinse and repeat that 3 times or 4 times. And it is a little annoying to go through the level and then have to go back through the level on foot. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like that. I think it would be better just to have the ride just go through as the ride and then have a separate level section.
No, I'm talking about Bob Zanotto, not Truman.
Oh, sorry, Bob Zanotto.
Bob's the one where you're on the boat.
Oh, is that the door the nose? Boat. Yeah.
Yeah, so like
sorry.
You have to do 3 different bottles.
Yes.
One bottle shows you like a swampy area where you learn about his like his story is like by far the saddest.
Yes.
He lost his husband or his future husband.
Mm-hmm. They did
to
get
the
married.
battle with Maligula.
Yeah.
Well, did they get married?
Yeah, because you saw the wedding ceremony and his memories.
No, I think you saw what it would have been. I thought they were engaged. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I think you saw what Bob wanted. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they did get married and that's what he was remembering of it. But his story, it's like his mom was kind of a piece of shit, an alcoholic who ended up dying.
Yeah.
And he had to find the body, it seemed like, which is fucking crazy.
Yep.
And then you see like his wedding to Full Bear.
Mm-hmm. Which is
and you're just like, oh, that's beautiful. Like, this is gorgeous. And then you see, what was the last thing? It was, him getting fired from the Psychonauts.
Oh, yes.
It's him getting fired by Truman, his nephew.
Yes.
And it's just like, it's so sad, his life. It's him, while you're seeing all this, like, you're just seeing his worst form, which is like a beat thing. Mm-hmm. Like a beat without roots or with roots, like some mild roots.
Yeah.
And he's like an alcoholic beat, which is really fucking weird already.
He's burping like Rick and Morty.
Like, yeah, and it's like nonstop showing you just how sad his life is. And I'm like, God damn, Bob. They really went deep with you.
Sorry, Bob.
Yep.
Sorry.
So during the fight with Maligula, each one of them had something bad happen to them. Mm-hmm. Bob lost his husband. His husband, Helmut Fullbear, ended up in the ice because they built a machine that could like freeze Maligula, but it didn't work. But it only worked on Fullbear for some reason. I'm not too sure why.
He dove in front of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still weird. Still, I don't know why they didn't try to use it on
sacrificed.
Maligula, but
they did, and then he sacrificed himself because it was going to backfire against them. It showed him jumping in front of it.
Yeah, so he jumps in front of it, he gets frozen, and then he gets so deep in the... So Maligula must have flooded it or something?
I think that's what happened, because he's so deep under the ice, they could never find his body. And then
the entire thing...
Ford was the only one who actually saw him down like the location where his ice was, but then memory was so broken that no one could find out where he was, so they tried for years to dig in the ice, but they couldn't ever find him or get far enough.
Yeah. This was confusing to me. How did his brain get out?
That's what I wondered, because he said he sent the brain to the headquarters, but how did you get your brain out, first of all, and then how did if you were that far buried in the ice, get the brain to them
out of the ice? Yeah, like The
What?
very confusing part. I'm sure there's a.
That's the one problem. That's my biggest plot hole.
I wondered with that if they were just trying to open it up to like a DLC.
I don't know. Like
Like
even
maybe that would explain the story, but I don't know. I don't know if that was their plan and they just scrapped it.
Like
It
unless
would be interesting.
But if he got out in a way that he could get his brain out, why wouldn't he just also just be able to get out
well,
himself?
that's the point of the DLC. Like I think if they did a DLC for that, that'd be really cool because
It'd be
you learn how
interesting.
his brain got there, right? And then I think the end of the DLC would be them finding him finally, which would be
Maybe.
fucking sweet. That would be cool.
That would be a lot to get Jack Black to sign on to, though. Maybe.
Yeah, it would. It would be an entire DLC based around Jack Black.
Yeah.
But he's just a brain in a jar when you finally
Yeah.
get him like fully awakened and everything. Like we said, his level is really cool. A couple of the levels are really good. Cassiopeia's actually was probably the most annoying to me. Hers is a book level. You're basically
Yeah. The library one was
You're-
weird.
you're in a library and you have to read her books, and each one has a different section, just like Steven said. It's just a lot of sections in there. But they're longer sections to me, at least, I guess. Maybe they were bigger to me, but I don't know why. That one just felt like it dragged on forever.
Well, and there wasn't much to that one. Like you
Yeah,
could go.
well, I mean, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful, and like the book art that they did with it is incredible. I loved the power in that level. I loved like even like some of the characters from books, like getting to talk to William Shakespeare and stuff like that, and then him like making comments to William Shakespeare. Like some of those things were really cool, but there was so many characters, and unless you really wanted to take the time to talk to each and every character, like that level is so lackluster.
Yeah. And like I said, each section of that level isn't great either. It just feels long.
Yeah, it does.
The shortest one and the best one, honestly, was, and I forget his name. He's the grandfather of those two people.
Grandfather.
The one who explodes heads. He's Cassiopeia's boyfriend or husband.
Oh. Yeah, I can't think of.
I can't think of his name right now, but he's his level was really interesting. It's like a game show, which I thought was really fucking cool.
Compton.
And like, yeah, Compton. Thank you.
Yep.
He's like, his level is like all fucking. You have to make the right dish, so it's like a game show combined with like Iron Chef or something, which I thought was really interesting.
I thought it was really fun, but this is again another level that I felt like overstayed its welcome because you do three segments, three dishes of the show, and then the show ends, and then you do 3 more dishes for the judges just by themselves backstage. That felt weird. Like, end the show or have a final step, but like you make us do
and then a boss fight after that.
Yes,
And then,
so
which was not an easy boss fight.
6 separate stages, and then probably one of the harder bosses in the game.
Yeah, I would say like 20 times harder than Maligula was.
Yes, Maligula was easy.
Which is, Maligula is easy compared to this boss, but this boss is like, it's hand puppets that Compton has, but it's really showing like he has no confidence in himself.
Yeah.
So like he needs puppets to create confidence. So he creates characters to create confidence, which I think is funny.
Which, because puppet therapy is actually a really good thing, and actually it's got a lot of statistics to support it. So that was fun that they threw it in there.
And Cassiopeia, hers was she makes different versions of herself depending on the situation.
Yep, because
which I thought was interesting.
Everyone does that, and you're not just one person. You are different with your friends. You're different at work, but you're all still you. It's not that. It's not that you're being a different person. It's just that you have to morph around.
You're adapting to your situation. Yeah. Each one of them, like Bob's, again, alcoholic, kind of depressed. Helmet's was just deprivation, sensory deprivation. So when you went into his mind, you're learning everything new for the first time.
Yeah.
Which was interesting, too. Who were the other Psychic Six? Otto you never went into, which was weird. There's one member of the Psychic Six who seems like crazy but also normal. Yes. That's Otto. And then Ford's is completely broken up, almost like split personality.
Yeah.
And there's one more that I'm forgetting, but I couldn't tell you who it is. Helmet, Ford, Otto, Cassia, Compton, Bob. No, that's everyone.
Yeah, you got it.
We got everyone.
Yeah.
And then Maligula is the last one. You go into her mind. Nona's was actually one of my favorite. I kind of like the knitting. It's like an entire world knitted. And then there's points where Crawler's like, I didn't create this. This is crazy. This must be like the first memory she created after I wiped her mind out.
I liked the first part of that, the flea circus.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. You do like a circus thing where she sees all of your family as fleas, and you kill yourself in her mind, which I thought was really fucked up.
Yeah, it was weird.
You land like on the ground and you land on yourself and you kill him, and then Cruller's like, you have to take his place now.
Again, like I said earlier, a little Rick and Morty.
Yeah, a little bit, a little Rick and Morty-ish. But yeah, okay. Well, that's mostly the story, unless you got anything else you want to talk about.
No, that's pretty much everything. We went over everything, some things a couple of times. So yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Worth or not?
So, how do you want to rate this?
Well, I think 100% worth.
Oh, yeah.
I think like this game was so much fun. I think all of you guys are going to enjoy it if you play it. Like, really, guys, play this fucking game.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. It is my probably favorite game to come out in the last 5 years, and I've been playing it like multiple times, like 100%ed it. It's just so much fucking fun.
That's too steep of a statement for me to say, especially with games like Remnant 2 and Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I don't really.
And
care
Liza
about
P.
those games, so.
But I will say, as far as the action platformers, like with RPG elements, this is one of the best. I think, especially if you liked the first Psychonauts, this is 100% worth it. Like, if you don't like platformers, it's easy enough of a platformer. I suck at platforming. I didn't have any troubles with this. You will die here and there, but it's not a big deal. One of the reviews said the deaths and stuff in this game are really lenient to be supportive of bad gamers.
Yeah, but it's the same, honestly, the same as the first one. They had some really lenient places to put it. It reminded me a lot of TAC.
Yeah, for sure. So I 100% agree this game is 100% worth it. It is incredible. It shows mental health in ways that is... This and Sin with Sacrifice are the two games that I say if you are a fan of like learning about mental health and what people suffer through and trying to get a different perspective on mental health, those are the two games I highly recommend more than any other game as far as mental health issues.
For sure. And we didn't say it, by the way, but this game is by Double Fire?
Yes.
Double Fine.
Double Fine, yeah.
Double Fine Productions or Development.
Yeah.
They do a lot of... They did Brutal Legends... or Brutal Legend, which I think was another Jack Black game.
It is Jack Black game,
it?
yeah. It's the one where you're playing the guitar, but it's got a storyline. I've been debating doing it, honestly, for the game, for the show.
Yeah, maybe if someone gets on the website and requests it, we can do it.
Please request it, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, then that's pretty much their only claim to fame. But, yeah, that's that and Psychonauts. Psychonauts was actually their first game, which
nice.
Really cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Yep. All right, well, that's it.
That's everything.
What's next week's game, Steven?
Next week's game is, for all you cat lovers out there, Stray. PlayStation exclusive, PS4, PS5 only.
Yep, and PC.
Yeah, I did get moved over to PC. I forgot I got a PC port, but...
Yep.
Yes.
And I thought you were going to say there, for all you cat lovers, we're going to watch that one fucking thing where the guy beats cats and kills them.
No.
I thought that's where he was going to go with that, guys. I honestly thought that was his whole thing.
Not
I was
even
like,
close.
damn.
Why would I tell cat lovers that there's videos of people killing cats? That sounds awful.
Because it helped catch a serial killer.
I mean, we should catch serial killers, yes, but
because he released those videos of him killing cats. And we're like, he has to be a serial killer, and then I think he was.
that's so sad. I mean, I'm glad we caught him, but what the fuck?
Eventually, I'll watch that. I've heard a lot about it, but people say it's really hard to get through.
I could imagine,
Yeah.
especially how explicit it could be. Like, that sounds awful. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to another wonderful fucking episode.
Yeah.
We will catch you next time with Stray.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.